Another week of Unfuck My Startup. There are a ton of messages here on my Zoom. You're in a webinar. Okay, got it. Um,
Copy, right? That's pretty much the way it is. And the reason why I think this has happened is pretty simple. It's pretty.
well, I'm not sure what that was. Uh, so 2 minutes past the hour, we got a bunch of people coming in. Um, our regularly scheduled guest was supposed to be Ross Paquette. He had a surprise trip to Australia. So, my next favorite guest and probably our most watched YouTube video in Unfuck My Startup history was very early on. It's Taylor Haren. He runs cold email for us. And we're going to break down not only Army email campaign, but we're going to break down Fixer, who, if you've never heard of, we've mentioned them several times in the show, and Richard even came on the show. Uh, they're about to hit 10 million ARR about 6 months after they hit 1 million ARR, which aside from I guess they are an AI startup. Aside from a dev AI tool, I've never heard of anything like that. They've been working with Taylor for 6 months now. Cold email has driven 8 million ARR in pipeline for them, which probably flows down the funnel to about 2 million ARR, something like that, maybe three, maybe even four. I don't know what the conversion rates are. Uh,
Yeah.
we are going to look at the copy they are sending. About 4 million emails a month are being sent. So we're going to look at how that's being done, the infrastructure behind it, all the conversion rates. We're going to do a full Fixer email campaign breakdown. So I am super pumped about this show. It's going to be very tactical. I feel like people are always asking, well, like, what email copy is working? Like, that is what this show is all about. What messaging is working? What infrastructure is working? So, Taylor, super pumped to have you on. Thank you for joining. Hilariously, Taylor was fixing the floors of his office today, so he made a makeshift outdoor desk in northern Idaho. So yeah, dude, thanks for joining.
Yeah, it should hopefully work really well. We'll see how the internet does out here. I'm
Yeah,
on a
and
Starlink at the top
thank
of a
you,
flagpole. It's gonna go great.
thank you to Elon Musk for
Yeah.
flying satellites into outer space so that Taylor could be a guest on the show today. Thank you, Elon.
Yeah, dude, I love it, man. In fact, I just little slight tangent. I just ordered a unit that'll pop on top of my Ford F-150 so I can slot a Starlink Mini inside of there. So as we're driving in the middle of the desert in a canyon or whatever, I can still like do work. And because I usually ride passenger seat. But then additionally we can like get out to a spot with a travel trailer, go mountain biking, do a couple calls like this, go back to mountain biking, like all because of Starlink. I freaking love it. You
I
know,
mean,
it's bad.
that sounds like a pretty good life to me. I remember when I used to do
Yeah.
things like that before I had kids, and
That's what
now
everyone
it's like,
says. They keep telling me kids will change it, and I'm stubborn enough to think that I'll be the exception, but I'll probably be wrong.
yeah, you might be able to figure that out. I was not able to figure it out, and
Mhm.
now my free time, Memorial Day weekend, was spent driving to Galveston and then basically playing defense against two kids under 3 years old for 3.5 days in a row,
Yep.
who were both sick, by the way. Uh,
Yep.
it's just a different deal.
It is, man. It is. All right. Well, cool. So
Let's
let's hop
yeah,
right
let's
into it.
open in let's open with the fixer sheet. So what we'll do today, by the way, halfway through the show, guys, let me address a couple things. We
Yep.
are playing around with the Zoom events thing. If participants are a little low, we might skip the pitch slap today uh, because attendees are low, unless we still want to do it. But if you want to apply for next week when we have back to our regularly scheduled many hundreds of people. Well, I don't know. Matt wants to pitch. Should we let Matt pitch? Should we bring him
I
up before
mean,
we dive in?
Yeah.
If we got Matt who wants to pitch,
We got
let's
to let
let
him
Matt
pitch.
pitch. Let's see if we
All
can
right.
book him any demos. Okay, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, the rules of the pitch slap. Matt's gonna come up. He's got 2 minutes to pitch his business to the 91 people on this call. Towards the end of the 2 minutes, we're gonna throw a yes or no, would you buy this? And by the way, you don't even have to be ICP. It's like, if you were ICP, would you buy this? It's not a straight, even if it doesn't apply to you, do you think that the pitch was good and on point? Above 66% yes, he gets a swag box. Above 33%, he gets a t-shirt. below 33%, you get sent home with a nice wave. So those are the rules of pitch slap. John, I believe, is bringing him up.
I changed his role. He needs to accept.
Matt, you just gotta accept, and you're on the pitch slap. And then, folks, if you want to pitch next week, we're gonna change things around with the link thing so that we're back to our normal attendees. But producer@rb2b.com. I just dropped it into the chat. Email me over there. I'll take a look at your site, what you're building, and we'll call you up next week and the weeks beyond. So
Matt has declined.
Matt's
Oh, he
declined.
declined.
Okay.
Maybe
Let's-
maybe we're not gonna have Matt pitch.
Okay. Taylor, let's dive straight into Matt. If you want to pitch, raise your hand again. We'll call you up at the halfway point. I'm extremely eager to figure out how you generated over $8 million in annual pipeline for Fixer. Fixer is one of my favorite tools and a set of my favorite founders, the Hollingsworths. So
Yeah.
let's see what you got going on in here.
Yeah, they're good dudes for sure. So I'll be able to go over like copy strategy, like what we've done from like beginning to end or whatever. I figured what I would start with is like we track signups for them on a weekly basis, and there's some interesting insights or things that like there's been a lot that has changed since the very beginning towards where we are now, right? But basically right now from a top level, so you can see all the numbers, right, is we're on track by the end of June to be signing up about over 8,200 people on their platform. One of the most important metrics for them is something called work emails connected, which basically for Fixer, right, their AI tool, it organizes your Gmail inbox, puts tags on it, also works for Outlook. It'll create drafts, all of that. And so there's a two-step sign-up process where you have to sign up for the actual app. Usually you can sign in with Google, but then you need to do it again to connect your Gmail account, right? The main thing that stops them is that, you know, sometimes a company's security policy is like, oh, you need to get approval from IT before you can actually do it. And so that's why there's about, you know, roughly a 60% conversion rate with what we're doing with them. But basically, this is like the main metric that they actually want, because they see that when someone actually connects their work email, that's the thing that drives the most revenue. So that's where we actively track both within that. And so you put that up, basically their average CAC per sign up right now, since we switched to a performance model with them, is about $55.65 to acquire a user, to acquire a sign up. And then on like our lifetime average, we're generating about 6.8 million in pipeline for them. But if you look at like our current averages, so like within like the last 3 months, it's actually closer to like 8.2, because we're getting better and better at like email, just the whole nine, at converting people and all of that kind of stuff. And so it's working really, really good. The main things that I think stick out to me here is that when actually, let me give you a little bit of the background of like how this all started, right?
Yeah, could we have some context too as to like you rope in the answer to this question wherever you feel is fit based on what you're about to say. But
yeah,
if you could give us the audience some context as to like, you know, I know there's like a sort of a freemium offering for Fixer and kind of where that fits into the message on the front end. I think just looping that in at some point would be helpful.
Yeah, I think what we can do is I can show you the straight up copy on the front end, and it'll answer that too.
Oh man,
Who wants to see copy?
Is that basically
Anybody?
Drop it in the chat.
Yeah, right.
Anybody want to see
So this
this
is
copy?
all right. So basically, it's fairly straightforward. Now, one, there's over 30 different variants that we have tried for them. So, you know, this is our best performing one. And funny enough, this is one that I wrote, and this covers what I like to call short and punchy. I had a copywriter on staff named Katie Thies. She's bomb, and she and I really vibed along this idea of short and punchy. That's what she named it, and ever since then I've stolen it. But basically, this is the core copy without any of the AI variables, right? So we just built an AI tool in your inbox called Fixer. It learns from all of your emails, organizes your emails into folders, and create drafts directly in Gmail. And we'll actually insert Gmail or Outlook based on like the inbox of the person. You can try it without being charged, reply back with yes, and you'll get a sign up link right away. Kindly, and then it has the signature here, first name. So the thing that isn't here is certain AI variables. Something we will do here is we'll actually insert an AI line here that contextualizes based on the person's job, right? And so we'll actually insert a line that's like, hey, we just built an AI tool for your inbox called Fixer. For most people, it saves them an hour a day, leaving you more time. So if we're writing it to Adam, leaving you more time to run our B2B, or to pick up your kids earlier from practice, or to meet with your executive team. If it was going towards a salesperson, it would go to meet with your sales team, or to do more sales calls. We'll actually like insert contextually what their job is there, which I like a lot better than like inserting a company name or a variable, or trying to write some janky AI line to like do an icebreaker. I like this because it makes it feel more human, because it's like I'm kind of assuming that I know what you do when I write the email. And it's really accurate for the AI to actually infer what those things are. So that's the only other thing that's inside of here that's not shown here, just because of the way instantly presents variables. But this is basically our primary like core bread and butter. And so
I have a quick question on this. So
yeah,
the one, I think just from this is a comment, not a question, but short and punchy is like a great sort of guiding light for any marketing or sales copy. Short, punchy, like, do not be long-winded, don't be vague, just
yeah,
punch people in the face with value. And the second, my question is, you at the bottom, the call to action is reply back with yes, and to get a sign up link right away. A lot of
yep,
people would just drop a sign up link or a calendar link right into the email itself. Can you give us
yep,
some rationale?
yeah, for sure. So the logic there is that email deliverability has been getting really hard the last year or two, not because of cold emails, but because of phishers. And a phisher is somebody who's going to send you a link and they want you to click on something so they can steal your data, right? And so all of the one, Google doesn't want you sending links. Two is that a company's security team, if they have any sort of brain cells, is if I get an email from you and you've never emailed me before and you contain a link, the odds that you can phish me are not zero. If you've never emailed me and there isn't a link, the odds of you phishing me are zero. Right. And so the trustworthiness is that you immediately break through a lot of that stuff. The other thing is that everyone's smart enough to just go, what is this tool? I'm just going to take either the domain that you emailed me from and go search it myself, which all of our domains forward to our primaries. Or you'll also notice in the signature, we had fixer.com, right? And so people can just look it up that way as well. And for Fixer, we see about a 1.2 uplift on signups. So what that means is that if we get 100 people to reply positively, we'll actually have 120 people sign up, right? So there's a lot of people that just don't even reply. They just sign up automatically. We see almost the exact same thing, but better for RB2B, but it's 2x. It isn't 1.2, it's 2x. So for RB2B, if we get 100 positives, we actually get 200 people who sign up, typically, right? And so that's why we just don't do the link thing. And then instantly and smartly, they make it really easy through something called subsequences, where when a lead is categorized as positive, you could set it up to then send them a script. And we usually, our general template for this is like, awesome, you can sign up at X. If you need support, here's where you can reach them. If you need to talk to sales, here's where you can reach them. And then in small text, this inbox is not monitored for future replies from here. And so just they're getting that response within a minute or two. So they're going to get the sign up link when they're still in their inbox and they still are saying yes in their mind. So it comes into them a minute later and they sign up and we don't see any issues with any fall off or anything like that.
That is super interesting.
Yeah.
That's such a good like not infrastructure, but sort of spam compliance or spam avoidance, I guess. That's new. I mean, we were all sending links, I don't know, 2 years ago. We were just dropping.
Can you bring that script up one more time, by the way?
Yeah, for sure.
Adam, Adam in the comments, Adam Ferrer says, should you remove all links? Say if you have your website or social linked in your signature.
So for all cold or sales emails, absolutely, for sure, especially on the first email. After you get a reply, do as many links as you want or attachments. You're usually pretty good after that point. And so if this is going towards somebody who you've never emailed before, just don't do the link ever. We've never seen it be worth it. And we've also seen it just like we all the practices that we follow, like we don't really burn domains. It's very rare that something happens where like our domains get enough spam complaints or hit certain block thresholds to where they get blocked or they get burnt. And then we've tried like doing links. So a client will be like, we really need to do a link. And we'll be like, all right, sure. And we like reserve a batch of domains and sure enough, they burn within like 6 weeks. So Just never, it's
Um,
never worth it in my opinion. But for like marketing emails with a warm audience, of course, could do that, but it's a very different beast.
That's a good point. Okay. Someone asked in here too. So we were talking a few sessions ago about personalized videos. I think in that context, we were talking about embedded emails within a LinkedIn conversation, which you can do with a few different softwares. It embedded emails within excuse me, embedded videos within emails, say a SendSpark video or something like that. Is that something that will go through, or is that worth sending after that initial reply for the same reasons?
Yeah. Great question. So, one thing about us is that we're different from every other cold email agency in the entire world, in that my specialization is extremely high volume outbound emails. So my goal with every client is to send one email every 2 months to every single person in their total addressable market. And so for us, that wouldn't work for us. Um, for almost every, I mean, and one more example of that is like we're sending more emails for Fixer than Nick Abraham sends for all of his clients combined. We send more emails for Fixer than Eric Nowalowski does for all of his clients combined, right? Like we send like 10 million emails and we're about to go like 15, 20, like we're moving a lot faster. So the stuff that we're doing is extremely different from stuff that everyone else is doing in the marketplace. And so I say that to say that SendSpark for us wouldn't work.
Mhm.
But you're a salesperson, you're doing like targeted clay signal based marketing, you're doing very strategic ABM type playbooks or anything like that. It's excellent for that kind of stuff. And the basic rule of thumb there is simply going to be like if you could send 1,000 emails and not a single person marked it as spam, you could send links, you could send PDFs to people, but that's probably not going to work, right? If you have a single person marketed, and the thresholds are really sensitive. If you have more than 10 spam complaints out of 1,000, then Google will start suppressing your inbox and they will look for the next time you send a link and they will immediately put it into spam. So that's the game that you're playing. So like if your offer slaps, if your targeting is just cracked and uh the relevance of your email to that person is great and the likelihood of them marking spam is just so low, then you can do SendSpark all day long, right? But for us, when we're doing high volume, it's like we're just doing everything to just perfectly maximize for sending, 10 plus 10 plus emails a month. Does that make sense?
Thank you for adding that context, because that is the or the conversation in which that came up with was Kevin Dorsey, KD. He's a
Yeah, I know Kevin with Finally. Awesome dude.
yeah, just a complete killer. And he was saying it in the lens of his sales reps. So, and guys, keep in mind too, like Fixer is going after anybody with a business email, with a business inbox. I mean, that's a huge TAM. So we're talking about a very specific strategy there. So thank you for the context.
And Kevin. I think it's a really good thing to bring up is that we have tried to do cold email for Kevin. We did cold email for Finally for 3 months and it didn't work. Right. And we tried to do high volume cold email for Kevin and it didn't work. Right. His salesperson focus, where they have their own emails, they have targeted accounts, they're doing LinkedIn, they're doing calls, and they're combining all those things. That's actually what works for his business. Right. And so cold email doesn't, especially high scale cold email in this vein, doesn't work for absolutely everybody, right? And so for his instance, SendSpark can be really great and it can be really perfect because that's just what works. But he was also like, I want to test everything and I want to know for a fact if cold email doesn't work or not, right? And we walked away from that. No one was mad. We didn't look at it as like a failure. We were like, cool, we know for a fact that high scale volume cold email does not work for him. And I think it was also because like he's in the financial world a little bit and getting that type of copy sent across at scale, we see difficulties with everybody whenever they're in the financial sector for that kind of thing. So I think it's important to note that too.
That's super important.
Yeah. Can I ask a related question?
Yeah.
Who does high volume email work for? Like if you could sort of, or look, like that was one example of who it doesn't work for. We could do either side. It would actually be great to do both sides. Like who does it work for and who does not it work for? And like, how do you kind of, what is similar about who it does and who it does not work for? If we can sort of
I'll give you guys a sneak peek of something I'm working on. How about that? So, the best examples I can give you is, So we're working on this calculator to kind of understand like performance metrics or whatever, and it has some of our real time stats in here. And so the best ones that we've found are like, who does it work for? Well, seems like freemium offers like RB2B, they work really well, right? Free trial offers like Fixer, they have a 7-day free trial, no credit card required to sign up. Um, but and I used to think that this was all it worked for. But then 2 months ago, we started working with a company called Directive Consulting. They do like all the ad spend for like Gong, Zoom Info. They're one of the largest marketing agencies in the entire world. And the thing is like their best campaign, we're sending 259 emails to book a single call for them, right? And so I think the exception here though is that let me think of it this way. I think freemium and free trial or like PLG motion, high scale volume works really good because it's such a low barrier to entry on like yes or no, do you want the link to sign up? Right. And it just kind of becomes cool. It's just like driving more traffic. So it's very comparable to like running ads for a company. Right. Where this particular client with Directive, he has a really strong and aggressive sales team. Right. And so the thing with him is that we're doing something really special with them where and Garrett, the owner of Directive, actually had this idea. And when he first brought it up, I was like, there's no way that's gonna work, dude. And sure enough, he ended up being right. And so what he did is he said, what if we offered them a gift card in the email? And I'm like, dude, like, there's no way that's gonna work. He's like, I'm the guy who invented that. And I was like, oh shit, well, I hope I didn't offend you, but I don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah.
And he goes, let's just try it though. And then I actually sat down with him on a call, and I thought this was really interesting. When we were writing the copy together, the copy basically was something like, it started with, if we can hop on a call, we'll send you a $100 gift card or whatever. And then he went into his actual offer. And what was interesting is I was like, is he goes, I'm not doing the $100 gift card to book the meeting. I'm doing the $100 gift card so they actually read the email, so then they book the meeting. And I was like, that is super interesting. And so since then, we've actually done something else. He asked me not to actually share this specific thing, but it's along the same train of thought. It's just isn't a gift card. It's an actual product that we're giving people if they agree to the meeting or whatever, or if they show up to the meeting, I should say. And the thing is like it's working really good for him. And the thing is that he uh his sales team can be really aggressive. So for him handing out those things, he knows that his close rate is worth it. And so when we actually hit his entire market and we're getting, one positive for every 250 emails, and we're hitting about 700,000 people a month. So we're printing like 300, 400 meeting requests a month for him. He can actually handle that volume, and he's actually confident enough in his closing metrics to actually do that. Where a lot of for Finally, it was like, it's definitely not going to work. But the issue there was like email deliverability, because we're talking about financial products. So you can't say cash back. You can't even say their offer. You can't put percentage symbols there. So it didn't work very well for them. So I think those are some of the things that like stand out to me. It's like why it's working really good for them. It's because like we can actually be really aggressive in the offer, in the copy, so we can get them a lot of yeses. And then his team is actually good on following up, because we've had previous clients where like cold email didn't work for their business, and it wasn't because of our metrics. Our metrics were like great, but like their sales team couldn't convert anything that they were bringing to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I could hop in there, but
What about
immediately what comes to mind.
what about SMB versus enterprise
SMB versus enterprise.
in terms of targeting, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only trick there, I would say that there isn't any difference to me in like, will cold email work for one or not the other?
Yeah. That's
I think they actually work pretty dang good for both. You just have to do them slightly differently. So for example, if you want to talk to regular SMB, you can do all the normal cold email stuff, like instantly, smart lead, whatever, and you'll be fine. But if you want to inbox to enterprise accounts, right now, what works best is you want to use a Gmail inbox in combination with a software called Email Bison. And that's the one that inboxes to enterprise the best right now. And I'll actually
Bison.
Email Bison.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down in the comments. I've never heard of Email Bison, but where did my
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's a niche.
Is this-
It's a niche tool. It's some really cool tech, but
Is it built
Was
with
that?
bison.com? Is it that one? No.
no. It's emailbison.com, I believe.
Oh, my bad. I should have guessed that.
Email
I got it. I was just trying to check
Bison.
the thing first. Yeah, here we go.
Let me just double check that it isn't like an IO. Yeah, it's emailbison.com. It's very specifically for like agencies who want to do high volume. But the thing that's different about it is that it has its own private IPs. And so when you're using Smart Lead, the thing is that if you're going to send to SMBs, they aren't using something like Proofpoint, right? Which Proofpoint's like a network, all the Fortune 500 use them. And basically with Proofpoint, if I email Joe and they're on Proofpoint and they mark me as spam, I'm now going to be spam for every other user who uses Proofpoint. And almost all enterprise companies use that tech. And so the thing is when you're on Smart Lead and you send an email, that Smart Lead signature is there. And so Smart Lead, to no fault of their own, and they built smart servers to combat that. And to be honest, I haven't tested smart servers myself to be very transparent about that. So like that could accomplish the same thing as Bison, but just for my own testing, we use Bison whenever we want to deliver to enterprise accounts really well.
We got a few questions in here.
Cool.
Just copy related. Everyone loves copy. I get it. I love copy. Dave Grimm asked, am I wrong to skip the salutations in an email, such as in the example you had hello Vishal, kind of just hello, first name, space, and then into the thing. He said he just dives right into the copy. The salutations feel like fluff to me. Any thoughts there? Is one neither right or wrong?
None's neither right or wrong there. I don't think. I would say it's something I like doing more recently is I like just going first name, comma, and then immediately going into the new line, not necessarily doing the space, but also like we'll A/B test it and we'll just like for Fixer, for example, we had over 30 variants where we tried a bunch of different stuff. And this is the one. It didn't get the highest reply rate. It didn't get the highest positive reply rate, but it has the highest conversions of people actually signing up to the tool, which is really interesting. Right. And so it just happens to be that one had the first name or whatever. So like there's a world where I don't think it matters that much. I kind of can see it as fluff, but then again, I can also see it where like if you don't okay, here's actually an example we did for Fixer. They gave us a list we wanted to email and it didn't have first names. So we didn't even send the first name. And a lot of replies we got is like, you guys suck. You don't even know my first name. So you do need something in there where it's just like, you need to actually like know their name. But I don't think you necessarily need to do it in a way where it's like first name line, like I think you can get creative with putting it elsewhere to just shake it up and look a little bit different.
And did that list, go ahead, Pete.
I was just gonna say Dave followed up and says first name, comma, then right into the value prop is his typical approach. So looks like we're spot on there.
So did that list not perform as well as the list with the first name, or were you just getting shit so it didn't feel like it did?
No, we were getting people that brought up that like, so it was anecdotal where people are just like, you don't even know the first name. Funny enough, the campaign did just as good as all of our other campaigns.
Yeah.
So it didn't actually matter.
Yeah, that's like the thing about a lot of this stuff. I feel like it's like there are things that happen that cause an emotional reaction within you that are not actually indicative of how the campaign's doing.
Yeah.
So they should be irrelevant, but for some reason you hold on to it because it's like
that is true, right?
Emotionally acute, right? Like it's and therefore
like it's interesting that I held on to
memorable.
that emotional remembrance of it instead
more
of the
memorable
rational
than
one.
it should be.
Yeah, true. Totally agree.
Okay. So 1 out of 250 was the positive reply rate of the agency. What was the positive reply rate of like Fixer or us or whatever? Like how?
So here, let me see. So right now, and these are based off of like 2 weeks ago, so I think they're still accurate. Let me refresh this. Oh, is this just not clicking? Is that what's up? Here, just a sec. My browser will do this sometimes.
Gotta hit Elon up. It's the Skylink. Yo,
Yeah.
Elon.
Okay. Yeah, come on, man. No, it's for sure the browser. So right now for you guys, our average campaign is a 459 to 1. And I think this is a positive reply, I believe. So because you guys had a 2x uplift on replies to actual signups, you could theoretically have these numbers if you want to know the signups to approximate it. Your best campaign is a 58 to 1. And this one I remember is when we're talking to SaaS founders. This is what happens.
Yeah. What about like site visitors? Are those better signups than?
So for you guys, so using our B2B to write copy to people who visited our B2B, was a 9-1.
That's pretty good.
It's excellent. Yeah. And when we do
But
it
we
for
have a
every
lot, we have a
client,
lot of ninja voodoo stuff working
Yeah.
for that one. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But one thing we have done, we've done a lot of our B2B implementations. And one thing we always see is it just depends on like how much volume actually hits the site in order to actually get enough juice out of it. But one common thing I've seen is that it's always about a 30% positive reply rate to those campaigns. And most of them aren't even mentioning our B2B. They're just doing their normal offer to people who
Yeah.
visited the website, and 30% of them will be positive, which is excellent.
Yeah. So literally one out of, wait, what does that mean? 30% will be positive.
It means out of 10 replies,
Yeah.
3 will be positive.
Right.
Which normally, if like a good campaign, you want it to be like at least 5% to just know it isn't crap. And 20% is like excellent. So for example, your normal outbound for RB2B is 20% positive reply rates.
Yeah.
And so website visitors for every client we've done an RB2B implementation for, they're usually about a 30% positive reply rate.
Yeah.
Right on. By the way, is this, we got a question in the comments. Is this CAC and ROI calculator? Is this public or is this private just for you and your clients?
Not yet. I'll be making a post about it very soon and putting it out to the public.
All right. And when we move on to the next section, let me drop in your LinkedIn info right into the
I would say
chat.
look there. The second my office is done, I'm just recording a bunch of stuff. So
all right, perfect. Giving me ideas for calculators to make for the folks here.
Yeah. Lovable's
okay.
dope.
Yeah. So okay, we covered all of our links and all of that. Let me just double check if there were any questions I missed. Oh, Corey had said email bison has become a super popular with hardcore clay experts over the last few months. We have one right here joining us, Taylor, hardcore clay expert. This is almost everyone he works with uses it now, especially enterprise B2B. So great call out and more validation from the chat. Awesome. So we've done this before, Taylor. So usually we have a Unfck My Startup section. It's its own section where someone will come up, tell the panel what's wrong with their business, and we'll sort of diagnose it. People in the comments will say their thoughts. On the cold email specific thing, and we've done this with LinkedIn too. We like to do Unfck My Email or Unfck My LinkedIn.
Okay, cool.
Does anybody in the chat have a campaign and is trying to make cold email work, but it is just not freaking working, and you're not sure if it's the copy, the infrastructure, you can't diagnose it? We have the best of the best right here ready to diagnose. I know because of our whatever attendees a little lower today, but raise your hand if your cold email is completely ruined and you would like a diagnosis. We'll give it a second. Audience, we're talking to you, by the way. Audience. If you want Taylor Haren to diagnose you, there we go.
It's helpful to look into the camera and shake the camera.
Audience, do you want cold email?
Yeah. Audience, we're talking to you. Does anybody want
Jed does.
The man of cold email to tear down your campaign? We got Jed.
Heck yeah. We got Jed. I went to high school with a guy named Jed. I think it's a different guy. Jed was allergic to everything. All he could eat was a special bread that his mom made named Jed bread. So hopefully this Jed is in better spirits. Jed, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing?
Here. How are you?
We're doing great. Jed? Thanks for joining us.
It is hat day.
It is hat day.
Just did my hair right before. I shouldn't have.
All righty. So I don't know if the best thing is just to get into. We switched to Apollo. So we're a B2B software for food manufacturers. So really niche. We've been doing this for 15 years, moved a couple of companies, and we're not, I think it's cold email, but not like it's a new list every single year. We've been talking to these people for years on end. Obviously, what's happening now is our spam blocks and our spam complaints are going through the roof. We're burning through domains. We're not getting responses or anything. And I'm trying to follow your session. So should I just open up the latest campaign and get into it?
Maybe let's start with some common stuff that I see real quick that comes to mind, right? One, are you doing multi-part emails? So are you doing like 4 or 5?
Yeah, just 3 steps now. We used to do more, now we're down to 3 because once again, trying to get modernized.
Awesome. I'll circle back to that. How large is your total addressable market? Like how
Well,
many
I mean,
leads in total could you
yeah,
talk to? It's fairly small.
We're only connected to like 15,000 people because
Yep.
it's relatively small.
Yep. Okay, cool. Um, here's the first thing that I would think of with that, right? Is one, I think the number one thing that burns domains, if you're having issues with spam complaints or whatever, is if you do multiple part emails, I think that does it more than anything. Because you send one email to the person, they already mentally said no. And then when you email them again in the same thread, I don't know about you, but for me, I go, bro, your first offer wasn't good enough. So like you're just gonna keep sending me emails unless I report you as spam. Right? Even though you have an unsubs link and it's like, oh, but they should click that. Most people don't do that, right? And once again, you have a very sensitive barometer on business emails. If you get more than 10 marked as spam out of 1,000, you're screwed, right? And that
Well,
thing
yeah.
starts going up. So the very
Like,
first thing that comes to mind. Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we experienced just doing one, but in this one it was three. But in this case, it was the first one was 9% spam block. So I mean, we're through the roof. Like it's just
Mhm.
we're hosed, right?
Yeah. And so the other thing that I would think of, and this kind of goes to one of my core philosophies, is if you only have 15,000 contacts, just shoot one email to them every 2 months. Why bother even with multiple part? And if you do multiple part, we'll do follow-up sequences. So don't get me wrong, but we'll actually like test, does the follow-up sequence, the follow-up email actually give the same results as just shooting the first email? And if it doesn't, then it's like, well, just wait 2 months and then email that person again to create brand awareness. Like I was talking with Adam last week about this idea that I don't know if he's been talking about this a lot yet, but like this idea that he's putting together that like you should kind of just be everywhere and you should be the product, especially when you're small. You should be the product ideally that everyone thinks of when they actually have the problem, which is the thing that you solve, right? So like even if your cold email isn't trying to get them on a call, and it's like if you just did a thing where you just gave something free and actually valuable to everybody in your audience, but you just did it via cold email to 15,000 people every 2 months, I think that would drastically move the needle enough for your entire business, especially if you have other channels going on, right? With one, a little bit of a philosophy of like less is more, and you'll probably get a lot more out of that particular system. Just as the first thing, because I see that at pretty common, you know.
Yeah, and we are trying to do the multi-channel. So we're trying to do LinkedIn. We're trying to do,
Mhm.
email, traditional marketing, right? Because most of these folks have been opt-in at some point along the journey, right? So it really isn't super cool, but it's just the spam problem is it's out of control, right? So, but
Yeah,
I think the one, yeah.
yeah, for sure. And the spam one in particular, like I have a lot of questions around like what does the infrastructure look like? Are you sending from your primary? Are you doing
Yeah,
rotation?
we're
But
using
when it comes
SendGrid.
to
We're using SendGrid via Apollo.
yeah, and Apollo's kind of complicated, and I already know that the answers that we could dive into are probably way too long for this call today for that particular thing. But I think that's the very first thing that we can touch upon and maybe go into the next one.
All right, thank you.
Sound fair? Awesome. Good question, man.
All right. Well, cool. Jed, thanks for coming up. We appreciate you. We got some more questions in the I think this always happens with like either our LinkedIn or our cold email sessions where the questions just sort of really start to pick up as we go. But there's two I want to get into. Olga's is a little bulkier, so we'll save that for just a minute. Keith had said, "Wow, one email every 2 months seems like a very low amount." It
Yep.
is, but that's probably a good thing. You want to elaborate, Taylor?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's great. Because who was I listening to? Man, I was listening to a podcast the other day. He said something profound, but of course I can't remember it right now. But just like this, just a general core philosophy is that like if you want to try to squeeze absolutely everything out of the market within the next 3 months, you can go ahead and do that, and you can try to like spam your market away and let them know about your thing. But
No,
like I will
Elon.
within the marketplace. And so for me, it is a really good thing if it's a low amount because I hate most of the cold emails that I get, I mark as spam. Okay? Like most of them are just crap. There's nothing unique. They don't actually have something sexy that they're offering. They're putting them before the actual they're putting their own business before the client just through the way that they like word stuff. And so like I'm all for it. I think less is way, way better. And to me, I'd rather build goodwill in the marketplace and not burn an entire list versus trying to like just squeeze as much as I can out of it, like this month, because you're gonna have next quarter to think about as well.
Yeah, two terrible. I mean, more. There's more than two, but two of the worst things I can imagine happening from, or have experienced happening from going way, way too high volume. First is you become white noise to your audience, which no matter the medium that you're using to build brand awareness or to build pipeline, the worst thing you can do is just squeeze them so tightly over such a short period of time where even 6 months down the line, when you go to get them in another campaign, you're still white noise. There's a number of sales consultants in my inbox who I just know to mark as red if Fixer doesn't do it for me already. And number two is like, I mean, man,
Yeah, that's another thing.
yeah, it's like just, I mean, look, you're the high volume cold email guy. I know that, and I know the depths of infrastructure that you set up. If you go either more targeted on TAM, less frequent, probably a combination of both, your infrastructure overhead and just the requirements to run a successful campaign become a lot easier to handle in-house, and yeah, just less of a less likely to need someone like Taylor quite yet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and I also think it's interesting because like our stuff doesn't burn, which I think is another note. Which the only correlation there is that if people were marking our stuff as spam, then things would burn, right? And so like a lot of people are like, dude, how the hell are you sending 4 million emails a month for Fixer and you think you can get it up to 8 next month? And I'm like, it's because we've been gradually increasing that over like 6 months with all of our domains not getting burnt and continuing to develop really good reputation. So like there's also a big factor in the cold email world where like if you just try to email people too much and you're bothering them, like it directly burns everything that you're building. You constantly have to be rebuilding from ground one versus just doing it the right way and beginning with the end in mind, right?
Definitely, especially if you're doing any type of brand play. I mean, we're big into brand marketing over here at RB2B. And yeah, it's a delicate balance of not burning everything, not annoying people, not becoming white noise, and providing something of value every time and trying to just give and give. Let's get into a couple more questions here.
Wait, before we dive into the next question, could we look at the RB2B email copy right now? Just
there we go.
Everybody's gonna
for sure.
any copy we look at better than anything else that we do. So I just know that because I know the audience love you guys.
You are exactly right.
Yeah. So
and look, copy is the most important part. I think it's one of the most important parts. As long as your infrastructure set up okay and you're hitting the inbox, it's all copy. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, let's look at it and talk about why it works. And the interesting observation Taylor made. We're sending the exact same thing out that we were sending out 14 months ago to the exact same people, and it has the exact same result. It's very strange.
yeah, which blew my mind.
I'm not sure that I understand why or how.
The last thing I would have guessed.
Yeah. Given the changes in the market, the fact that we have 5,000 competitors and whatever else.
Kendall says, show it in the comments. Well,
for sure.
Of us to deny it. So
I will be pulling it up. It's just loading.
Oh, okay. Starlink. It's got to go to space.
And by the way,
I'll share it right when it loads.
That was instantly you were in before. Is that are you using instantly these days? I don't think you heard. Taylor, did you hear my question?
Oh man,
I think Taylor may be frozen.
We got ISS interference. I think Elon shut us down. Says Chet.
Sorry.
Dude,
there we go.
Yeah, you're back.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
So
I'm back.
What the heck? What did I just ask? I totally forgot. Somebody in the audience remind me what I just asked. Oh yeah, you're using Instantly with Fixer. Are you using Instantly these days?
Oh no. All right. We'll Taylor will be right back. We'll be here. Someone says the copy must be very long. Let's go through a couple of questions in here. So how does let's get into Olga. Says I'm the CEO of a company that never used the email this way. We got 72,000 emails from Apollo. We're scared to start. That's fair. That's a lot of emails. We're relatively narrow vertical interior design software that helps designers create specifications, proposals, invoices, purchase orders. Total TAM, 150,000 interior designers. Do I need to be doing text only, no links, or could I be more posh images, videos, etc.? So I'm just going to rehash Taylor's guidelines from the beginning of the video. Olga, for the first email, just text, no links. The email inboxes, the Outlook, and the Gmails will think you might be a phishing attack. So do not send a more posh email until they respond back if you're going to go after and cold email those 72,000 or 150,000 folks. That is the word of advice from Taylor. And welcome back, Taylor.
Yep, correct. Yep, I'm back.
Taylor, do you use Instantly?
We should hopefully be good. Yeah, we use Instantly primarily right now. So we see them change all the time. Specifically Instantly and Smartly, they'll change places. And we're actually starting a cold email deliverability test tomorrow that we'll be running for about 2 to 3 weeks in the public. We'll be doing like 5 different email service providers in combination with 4 different sequencers to really test like what are the best deliverability configurations. So that's another thing. If you follow my page, you'll see that come out pretty soon on like which ones are delivering best and why. But for the last 3 months, we've been primarily using Instantly and then Email Bison for enterprise accounts whenever we identify those.
Awesome. And we've got the RB2B copy up.
Here's the RB2B copy. Yeah, and to Adam's point from the last thing that I heard was this is the exact same copy we were doing in November when we started to pause, and we have the exact same conversions that we did last time, about a 2% reply rate on average and a 20% positive reply rate, and somehow it hasn't dissipated at all. The only thing to note here is that we insert this line with the AI researched thing where we go like, hey, who does this company, who do they sell to, right? Do they sell to marketing agencies? And we list 3 different ideal customer profiles that they target. But other than that, there's nothing else that's going on that's too fancy inside of here.
I like that you're not
automating. There's a little typo in the PS.
Oh, is there?
No, I am not kidding it.
Oh, that's so funny. Wonder how long that's been there.
Yeah. Hold on, put it back. I want to screenshot that and then make a LinkedIn post about it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a
lot of it doesn't matter.
Well, I think it's like it's not AI because AI would never do that.
True. That's true, man.
It sounds
there's
like
an argument.
Like
translated. I honestly like I want to like split test it right now with the typo fixed and see if see if it does anything,
One thing I want to point out on the AI research, like customization, I think it gets really heavily overdone. I'm curious your thoughts, Taylor, but like, I'll get emails about like, oh, Pete, I saw you went to Penn State. My friend said the charity run, whatever, is a hoot. I'm like, no one is saying that. Like, no one has ever said that.
I hate all that stuff.
Specifically to make the email more relatable, not to the problem that you're actually trying to solve, not just to try to like almost trick someone into giving you their attention in a way. That's really what the other route is. So I really like that.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting. Oh, this is doing if you look up the definition or whatever in like the dictionary or whatever of spam, the key word in it is relevant, right? That spam are things that are not relevant to the actual person. So a lot of people are doing just this fancy AI stuff. Like you said, oh, you went to this school, or, oh, I saw you comment on XYZ's post. Those are stuff where it's like, none of that matters. Like that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. Like it's just, what is your offer? And then, like you said, this is my favorite kind of AI line, and I was talking to Eric like 2 weeks ago, and it was super funny because he was like, oh dude, my favorite campaign right now. And once again, he's a goat in the industry. Like I learned so much from him. Like neither one of us is right or wrong on this. I just think it's so funny that we view it so differently. He's like, oh, dude, my favorite copy right now is like, hey, I went on your website and I saw that you have this case study about this client. That's really cool. Anyways, here's my offer. And I'm like, dude, I hate that. If I get that email, I'm marking that as spam. Like, I'm just like, I know you didn't actually do it, you know? And so it's super funny that we disagree on that. But also, like, he prints results with that right now. Will it do it in 3 months? I don't think so. But like, it's great.
Totally. It's like if you're using it to make your pitch more valuable, that is, I mean, that's the thing. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm getting to the point where I've been beta testing it on the back end with some copy, and it's this idea. But what I really want to do is get to the point to where where I can upload this framework into an AI, and I can go, cool, here's all the information about Sally, who we're going to write the email to. I want you to write, here's the general email that we want to send to people, but can you contextualize it to Sally's job? So we do one prompt where it's like deeply research the company, deeply research her position, blah, blah, blah. And can you just rewrite the entire email with little things like this inside of it everywhere? So it adds like little contextualized pieces. And the thing with AI is I would have it do it instead of write the whole email like that, because it's going to suck at that, is write the first sentence if I gave you this framework, then write the second sentence, then write the third sentence, and then so on. And I think that's an email that would actually do way better than a lot of this other stuff. Because once again, it's just like, just bring relevance to it, to where like I'm inferring. It's kind of like, show people, don't tell people. It's like, let them think to themselves, like, wow, this person's probably actually real and they actually understand, versus like telling people that you understand, right? Tell your wife that you understand, and babe, it doesn't matter if you feel like it. It's just like, yeah, good luck, you know. I know you don't feel like I understand, but I told you I did. It's like, no, like everything's feelings, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Someone said on the AI front, Corey in here says, I feel like we're in the gold rush Wild West era where those in the know understand that it's AI, but many others in the real world, especially outside of SaaS, have no idea. That is freaking spot on. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have 6 minutes left. Let's drop some questions into the chat and I guess end with some audience Q&A. We got Taylor here for another 6 minutes. In the meantime, I just want to ask, from an infrastructure perspective, we had somebody on the show recently who I think it was on the show. Basically, we were talking about email send thresholds for domains. So in the world that we're talking about with these one-to-one, just for context for the audience, say our B2B was sending out cold email, but we don't send them out from rb2b.com. That would ruin our domain. Then it would be hard for us to email, it would be hard for me to email Taylor. Right. But we use send from, rb2b.net, get rb2b, whatever it might be. For most of the folks in here, let's say they've spun up, they're sending, I'll pick an arbitrary number. Let's say 10,000 emails a month. How many emails can one domain handle per day going out? And I'm talking the inbox rotation.
Yeah.
I'm talking the one-to-one outreach campaigns, not the templated emails.
Yeah. What I would do, the quick math on it is, if you're using a Gmail inbox, you can send 20 emails per day, per inbox.
20.
And you can put 2 inboxes per domain. And so if you're using something like Apollo for your sales team, which most of our clients for our cold email SDR service, that's what they use. They use Apollo because you can do inbox rotation. On a non-enterprise plan, you can have up to 5 email accounts, so you can send up to 100 emails a day. On enterprise, you can have 15 email accounts, so you can send up to 300 a day, right? And a salesperson should never need anything more than 100 to 300 a day. So if you use that, and then the other thing too, right, is like, if I was going to do it for a salesperson like that, and I am doing that small volume, just get 1 domain and 1 email account per domain. Like, just make it as minimal as you possibly can. Like, why not? It doesn't hurt. And have 5 domains for your 5 email accounts on your non-enterprise Apollo account, for example. That's what I would do. But on this note, I did I think it was the same webinar setup like we did here about like 6 months ago. I think it's the one that Adam hinted at, that it was like the most watched one or whatever. I specifically in there, and nothing has changed since then, specifically in there go like, here's the inboxes that you should use for Gmail. Here's the ones that you should use for Hypertide. If you're brand new to this and you only want to send less than 10,000 emails a month, here's exactly what I would do. So if you actually, maybe you're looking for it or whatever, if we can link that in the chat for other people, I think that's a good watch because it would actually answer this question much deeper than the time we have today to finish that whole idea on.
Absolutely. I'm pulling that up right now and I'll drop it in the chat.
Cool.
Right before we take off. Cool. We got 3 minutes left. Adam, do you have any final thoughts for our man Taylor here?
No,
We'll
man.
promote next week's
I was
show.
I was just digging through to get that video and I found it. Boom.
Oh, you beat me.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah,
you know
I
what?
mean,
Let me I'll find the slide deck that I did for it too and post that in actually.
Yeah, if you
cool.
want to send that to me, I'll post it on LinkedIn right after this. That'd be super helpful.
Cool.
Yeah, look, Ross Paquette I think would have been great stories, but like everybody just wants to see what's working. So this probably ended up being a better episode.
We'll get Ross on here again.
Of course it did. Yeah, Ross needs to step it up, man.
Yeah.
Next week, Adam, you're joined in person in Austin. Is that right? By Scott Leese?
Scott Leese.
Cool.
Yeah,
Folks,
Scott Lee's going to talk about sales.
He's a GTM consultant. He's a fractional CRO. He's huge on LinkedIn. Scott Leese is going to join Adam in the studio. I'll be right here in the chat with you all, helping man some questions. And folks, thank you so much for joining. Taylor, thanks for
having me. Super fun.
Yeah, thanks for making the makeshift office in the yard. It looks great. It looks nice and sunny in Idaho. And
it is, yeah.
For everybody in here, we will see you next week.
Yeah, and thank you to Elon Musk for Starlink.
Yes. Yes, our savior, Elon Musk. Thank you, Lord.